What is up, furry fandom? It's y'all's host, Giant Murder Cat. Let's get right into the news. Internet drama and why it doesn't need you. So, as of recent, it seems the line between public service announcement and drama has been so beaten to death and messily blurred that it's actually starting to affect people, and that's honestly a really huge problem. One that the furry fandom has struggled a lot with recently, and it's efforts to take out the trash in the fandom. Now, don't get me wrong, this fandom is all about its inclusiveness, and that's what makes it what it is. It accepts everyone, but that shouldn't mean that harmful and dangerous people should be included. And this isn't to bring politics into it or your own personal morals or anything like that. If someone is a threat to any entity, any living being well-being, it's everyone's duty to protect one another and follow the age-old saying, if you see something, say something. But due to this movement, a lot of false and lesser drama things, smaller call-outs have been made to the point to where I feel like call-outs have lost their touch. They've lost their meaning. The original intent has been just completely destroyed, and it's really an issue because the real intent behind them is normally good-natured, but now they're just so casually used. It's just for instance, if someone says oh, I'm triggered, when they're mildly discomforted, whereas triggered is supposed to mean PTSD. And when people are using call out as the same as drama, it's the same thing where it's a call out is supposed to be a public service announcement. It's supposed to bring awareness to people to be hey, this is an issue, you all need to know about it. Whereas people are just mistaking it as drama, and it's not really supposed to be drama. It's supposed to protect people. So it's lost its touch, it's lost its meaning, and it's become really watered down. Extremely important topics tend to be flagged for drama or a ploy of just jealousy. Oh, they just did it because they're jealous and stuff like that, because a lot of posts out there are because of that. And because of people doing that, it's we almost need to find a new word, because it feels like call out has just been so watered down and it's just always associated with drama when it's not really drama. Sometimes they're actually really important things that people need to know about, and that's what the true purpose of them were. That's why it's there. It's been so bastardized of the original intent, and the people that these posts are made for, let's say for instance someone abuses animals and they get called out for it. That needs to be known. If someone's hurting animals and you're just calling it drama, there's animals that are being hurt and you're just making it sound like it's not a big deal. Normally associating the word drama to a call out, normally you're saying something along the lines of, oh, it's just them trying to start something. And it's not. 9 times out of 10, people who make these kinds of posts, they make them because they feel like they need to be made. And it's why a lot of victims are afraid to come forth about abusers, because the initial response they get back is, oh, you're just doing it because you want to tear them down, or oh, you're just doing it because you're jealous, or oh, you're lying. And there's so many examples of it, to the point to where victims never want to speak up. And it's really important when victims do speak up, because they're not only putting themselves at risk, which normally it ends up blowing up in their face, but they're trying to save other people. And when you just water it down to drama, you're basically invalidating that person's entire abuse, and that's an extremely terrible thing. And just to basically see to see someone put themselves out there like that, put themselves out there so raw to alarm other people, to save other people, and you just call it drama, it I just cannot imagine how that would feel. Like, just put yourself in that situation. You're trying to save other people. Let's say you were groomed or something like that. Let's say there's a pedophile and they're outed and they groomed you for several years, and people are just like, oh, you're just doing it because you're jealous. No, you were actually affected, and now people are just saying you're faking it. And that's where the drama comes from. That's where they start throwing in all these accusations, all this misinformation, and this type of like defensive behavior when people are called out also creates the issue that kind of makes it drama, because the way they react. And it's because it's like people like go on this like mob mentality, this like witch hunt mentality, where no wonder the person being called out doesn't own up to it, doesn't apologize. They like fight back like for their lives almost, you know, like they're like being like almost aggressive. And there's always two sides to a story. And I know it sounds bad to say that, but it's even worse when that side of the story can't be told because it's an animal or a child and they don't have a way to speak up. So if there's so it's just like, if there's abuse going on and there's proof of it, there's so much proof that you just have to literally be closing your eyes to not see that there's something wrong. That's drama. You're starting drama by saying that's not right, and you're pulling out fallacies and you're trying to break down all the proof and stuff like that. If there's a bunch of proof and this person's a terrible person, they need to not be here. This fandom has children in it. This fandom has so many people in it. And it's like the children are the ones that I'm the most defensive of, because they don't know any better. Look at how many cases there are of children being groomed in this community because they're drawn in by the cute characters and, oh, you have such a nice persona. And it's like these people do like terrible things to children. And it's like when they're called out for it and you're trying to just say that it's drama and, oh, I stand with such and such person. It's like, stop it. Like, if there's proof, it's proof. Like, I know in this day and age it's really easy to fake things, but I really cannot say that I believe that it's faked. I'm sorry, but just with the biggest recent things that have happened in the furry fandom, there's been a lot of call outs lately, and I believe them. I like all of them for all the like, but I don't believe the backlash that they got. Like, people are getting like doxxed and people are getting like I don't think it needs to go that far. You're not a judge, you're not a jury, this isn't a courtroom, this is the internet. And I know you feel like you need to do something, but doxing someone regardless of what they've done, I mean, like, maybe if they're, like I said, a pedophile or an animal abuser, like, dox them to the police, not the internet. Like, if you have proof, don't give it to the internet. You know what I mean? Like, don't, like with the big recent case that's going on right now, distributing those files is incriminating people. And I almost feel like it's kind of a ploy, because now all these people have all of this unedited stuff on their computers, on their phones, and it's like all just because they want to either prove they're innocent or prove that they're guilty. It's like, that's not your place. You're not a lawyer. You're not, like, if you have proof, turn it into the people that can do something about it. And the only thing that you need to be doing is calling the person out and giving censored proof, not doctored, but censored proof, because we're going to get into that later. But yeah, so it's like, if you have stuff that's like very obviously true, and then people they kind of get this thing where they're like, oh, this thing's popular right now because of how social media works nowadays. And so they'll start throwing in misinformation, and they start getting e-fame, and they start getting popular because they're following a popular topic. And there's a couple people that are actually taking advantage of several situations like this, where they're just throwing stuff out there. They're either playing devil's advocate, or they really don't care about the people that are being affected, or the animals that are being affected, or whatever situation it may be. They're just in it for a quick buck. And it's very obvious, and it's very disgusting, and that's where the drama comes in. That is drama. The initial post of this person is a terrible person and a bunch of proof, that's not drama. The people that are making videos just to make money, people that are throwing out fake information, or faking chat logs, or like adding more things that like aren't part of the core problem, that's where the drama comes in. And furries just apparently, they say they hate drama, but they create so much of it to the point to where it's just like migraine inducing. This person stands with the person and this person's against the person, and that's where drama is. That's the drama. The initial post, if it's made without any sort of like I kind of touched on this when I was doing my Artist Beware video, which I'll link up here, one of the corners, but if you post something with undeniable proof, it's not like censored in your favor, it's not doctored in your favor, it's all hardcore evidence and proof. And if you have a lot of it, and if it needs to be censored for obvious reasons, that's obviously fine, because otherwise you're distributing CP or whatever it may be, given whatever case it is. Because why are you posting things like this just to prove a point? Not only are you now distributing it, so now you're criminalizing yourself, but you're also making other people see this stuff. And like I said, once again, there are children in this fandom. Yes, you have to be a certain age to use certain social media websites, but there are still children that I bet you were on DeviantArt reading fan fictions that you shouldn't have been reading at your age. You know what I mean? Like, they're still in this space. And yes, I know there is a lot of sex positivity in this fandom. Kinks and stuff like that are widely accepted, and that's why we're often criminalized, because it does look like all it is a big sex thing, because we're so sex positive. Whereas it's like, I don't understand where it comes from. This is kind of gonna go off topic, because it's like, look at other fandoms, how they'll have millions of fan fictions and fan art of couples, and that's okay. But hold up, two anthropomorphic characters doing anything sexual, now we're terrible people. But it's because of the fact that we are so accepting and so afraid to act up and kick people out of the fandom, that we're allowing people that should not be in this fandom, that make us look bad, that make us have the impressions that people think of us, because it's so much easier to just avert your gaze and just pretend and just close your eyes and just pretend. And it's like, I don't care if you've known this person personally, I don't care if you followed this person's YouTube since it started, I don't care if you've followed this person's art since they were 12, like, I don't care. Well, I don't even know how that would happen, but I don't care. It's like, if they're a terrible person, they're a terrible person. And if there's undeniable proof, if there's so much proof to the fact that where you're literally having to like grasp for straws to prove their innocence, that's not your job, and you should not throw in all this just bull crap that makes the situation so much harder for people who are on the outside that don't know what's going on. So, like I said, call-outs. They aren't always drama, and the initial intention isn't for drama or to start drama. For those who don't know what call-out culture is like supposed to be, is it's supposed to be like a public service announcement where you post your proof and you post your evidence, and then you basically submit it, and 9 times out of 10 it's normally a victim or someone that's close to a victim that speaks out because the person is too afraid to speak out for themselves. Or even in our fandom, unfortunately, the animals cannot speak for themselves, so the people that find out about people doing things to these animals, obviously the animals can't get on the internet and post, hey, this person did things to me. So that's why people are doing it. And it's like, when you're defending these people, I just want you to think about the target audience that they're trying to protect when they make these. And that alone should give you the idea if it's fake or not. Now, let's say in the event that you believe someone should be outed, and I went over in my, once again, the Artist Beware video that'll still be up there, I gave advice to how to, like, that was more for Artist Bewares, but the same thing holds true. Leave emotions out of it, leave personal bias out of it, leave politics out of it, leave anything that makes it personable out of it. It needs to just be proof that is not doctored or taken out of context or anything like that. It needs to be actual evidence, not just screen caps of some stupid stuff that's like barely even relevant. Like, it needs to be hardcore evidence that's censored, and then you have yourself a call out that is not drama. Now, when you start putting your own personal beliefs in there or start preaching about this or that, that's when it becomes more in a drama light, where people are more obligated to consume this sort of information as drama, because there's personal bias behind it, because it's personable, because you're putting your own beliefs into it. And that's where sides come from, where it makes people decide on their morals, and that's where they pick sides. So if you're giving evidence that's not like for instance, you shouldn't put in your call out like, this person is disgusting and stuff like that. Like, even if they are, as soon as you're throwing your own personal beliefs in there, that's where it leaves room for people to be like, they're probably actually maybe doing this because they're jealous and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that, like I said, I kind of touched on it, where it's like, when you become the sole beacon of information for this person, sometimes that's when people kind of go rogue, because they're getting all this fame, they're getting all these followers, they're getting all of this attention because they're giving out all of this information. And then that's when they start to kind of, the numbers get to them. And that's always a big thing on social media, where numbers start getting to people. And that's when it's like, that's where I can understand where people start to not believe things, because then people start being like, oh, hi, new followers and stuff like that. And it's like, that's probably not something you want to be saying when you're trying to out an abuser, because that kind of makes it look like you're just fishing for attention. But it's, I don't know, it's just, like I said, there's so many different aspects of how people just take advantage of these situations and just do it just because they want to frame someone or want to make someone look bad, when there's actual call-outs with actual real facts, and they just get waved away and ignored, and people are allowed to continue doing what they're doing because people just, the way they handle it. And it's just, I believe call-out culture in its rawest form, in its original intent, is extremely important, especially in this fandom, because we do have multiple things that people could be victims of, and not even people, I'm meaning animals, unfortunately. Whereas like in anime, I would feel it would be more like just like CP. But with our fandom, unfortunately, with the animal backing behind it, I feel like we have more to call people out on. And these people just sit and hide in this fandom because it's so accepting. And when they see people get called out and get defended when they're guilty, it basically just enables them to continue. And when you're letting other people go free and you're only focusing on one person, it's like, maybe that's where the drama is. If you're just focusing on that one person, yeah, I can see where it could be considered drama when there's all these other people that, why aren't we focusing on them as well when they're undeniably part of it? Just, I feel like people need to just step away from social media for a moment, breathe, look at some nice scenery, think, and then come back and assess the situation and just think, the original poster, what do they gain? If they're getting a bunch of followers and they're treating it like an e-fame thing, then yeah, maybe it looks kind of bad. But if they're continuing to post truth and only the truth, and then they're getting doxxed and harassed, and they're getting defamation charges, like, that's where it starts to look kind of sketchy on the person they're calling out, because why do you want to take them to court over it when you can just easily solve it when it, you know what I mean? And it's like, some of this stuff, like, I feel like it shouldn't even be posted on the internet. It should just be immediately given to the authorities and let the authorities solve it, and then be like, hey, I reported this case, here's the case number, the person went to jail, they did it. You know what I mean? Like, there's like, if you have this proof, why are you posting it on the internet first, uncensored and stuff like that? Like, take it to the authorities. I know the justice system, especially in the US, is kind of not the best, but normally, if you have a really strong case and someone is actually guilty and you give it to the right people that will do what they need to do and do their job, and then you can report back like, hey, this person's in prison now because they actually did do it. I feel like that would be the better look for yourself. That way it doesn't look like you're doing it because you're targeting someone or trying to get attention out of it, or, you know what I mean? It's like, if you really care about the animals or the children or whoever is being targeted, actually do something about it. Don't just post on the internet about it and then not follow up. Just because you call someone out, you're not trying to stir up a storm, you're not trying to tear the fandom apart. And the way that we've been reacting to so many of these call-outs of these terrible people, and they're allowed to continue on for even years after they've been called out. They've been called out multiple times. And it takes that many times to finally get them kicked out of the fandom, and then they just come right back because we just let them come back because we just, I guess, apparently just are just gonna just let it keep happening. I don't understand. Like, there's several people that have been called out multiple times, and we just keep letting them come back. And I swear to God, if they come back again, I'm going to literally pull out my hair, because it's so irritating that it has to get to this level where if we would just come together as a fandom and just stop trying to just grab a quick buck off of people that are willing to find out what's going on, stop taking advantage of people being either gullible or whatnot, and we need to stop acting so vicious. Like, I've seen so many things where it's like, I wouldn't care if so-and-so killed themselves. Like, that's not the mindset you're supposed to have when these are posted. These are supposed to be like, oh, this person probably shouldn't go to a convention where children will be if they're a pedophile. That's not trying to start drama. That's trying to protect children. Like, why are you defending these people if there's proof? I just do not understand. It makes me so mad. It's like you don't care. You care more about saving face of a complete person that probably doesn't even know you. 9 times out of 10, if it's your idol, they probably don't even know you. You're probably just a number to them. And it probably doesn't even matter the amount of flack that you're getting defending them, because they're guilty, and you need to stop. You need to think of the people or the animals or whatever that is going to be targeted for these call-outs. They're normally made to protect. We're trying to protect people. And yes, I will agree, a lot of them are made out of drama, because, like I said, there comes a lot of like e-fame when you out a popular person, and that's why a lot of people normally just give the, oh, you're jealous, or oh, they're just trying to tear this person down, or oh, they're just framing them. It's so frustrating. And I just want to make it clear right now, if you're outing someone that harms things, that's not drama. If you have undeniable proof, if you have especially a lot of proof, years of proof, multiple victims, that's not drama. Your response to it, the way people consume the social media of it, that's where the drama comes from. And that's where the furry fandom's truly at fault for this, because the way they react when things happen. But like I said, it's just, call out culture started with good intent, and the idea behind it kind of, from what I believe, mostly started on Tumblr, and that's where it kind of lost its actual like meaning. Because like, if you think callouts in the furry fandom on Twitter are bad, you should see callouts in the anime fandom on Tumblr. Go look that stuff up. Have fun with that. If you want to see drama, that's drama. People in the furry fandom outing people for being pedophiles is not drama. I'm sorry, it's not. It's really not. If someone's a pedophile or an animal abuser or a zoophile, or like even like they're distributing like cub porn and stuff like that is not trauma. That's like, we need to protect the children and the animals. Like, if we love animals so much and there's someone that's hurting animals, why are you defending them? Like, I just don't understand. But so in closing, stop getting in petty fights with accounts of actual threats. Don't let validated proof and evidence get skewed and biased. Don't let the line between drama and public service announcements get obliterated. Like, critically assess the information given. And your first question should not be, what is it now? Your first question should be, is it being taken to the authorities? Is it being taken seriously? What kind of case is this? What should we do in response? The response should not be fighting. The response should not be picking sides. The response should not be making hashtags, I stand with so and so. It should be, hey, maybe we should turn this into the authorities. If the authorities find something, like, if given the right amount of proof and they can look into it, then they can look through their computer, and if they find the stuff and they criminate the person and the person goes to prison, jail, whatever, then yeah, look, why did we have to fight over it? Why do we have to tear a fandom apart over something that could very easily be solved by just taking it to the authorities? See something, say something. Don't say it on Twitter to try to get clout and stuff like that. Like, it should only be posted about when it's undeniably true. It's not a hunch and you have to go back and say, oh, actually, sorry, it wasn't actually this, it was this, and stuff like that. Like, you need to be sure of it. You need to leave yourself out of it, and it needs to be posted in a way that, like I said, it's censored if it has anything like that in it. It needs to be given in a way that has no personable bias in it, and you don't want to make it personable. Like, yeah, I could see where your case would go further, possibly, when you start bringing people's emotions into it. But it needs to not be about emotions. It needs to be about protecting the people that the whole post is about. So, like I said, just critically assess next time you see a call out before responding all angrily and stupidly and all this, like, I hope you get killed and stuff like don't be doing that. Like, that can even get you in trouble. You know, it's like, just, we all need to stop fighting and just come together, and instead of like everyone getting so irritated at each other and creating sides, we need to come together as a fandom and stop letting this stuff tear us apart. And we need to agree on what should be in the fandom and what should not be in the fandom. Not just one person saying that. We as a collective, as a fandom, need to come together and say, hey, people who do things to animals should not be in here. People who do things to children should not be in here. And if we find those people, we should report them to the authorities so they're no longer in our fandom. Not exile them by harassing them and doxing them. That's not how you're not supposed to handle this sort of things, because then they're just going to go do it in real life, or they're going to come back under another name. So stop acting like you're the courtroom. Stop acting like you're the judge. Stop acting like you have a place to say if they're guilty or not. If you're not the original poster, you need to critically assess the situation. You should be asking questions like, have you reported this to the authorities? Not, where's your proof? Where's more proof? Like, we need to stop acting like everything's an attack and stop being so defensive, and we need to come together and stop separating ourselves, because what if some of this stuff actually is fake, it's really well done, and it's meant to tear us apart? Just think about that. I just want you to think about that in closing. Why are we letting this stuff tear us apart when we're supposed to be a giant collective and a giant fandom, and we're supposed to have big undying hearts? And why are we treating each other like this? Even the people that are doing things wrong, I don't believe they deserve to get told they should kill themselves or they should get doxxed. I believe that the authorities should deal with it, and we should not act like we have the power to prove someone guilty or not guilty. So just think about that. Just have that on your minds, and next time you see some sort of call out, maybe critically assess it before you jump in, throwing in misinformation, throwing in your own 2 cents, throwing in some bull crap. Just think who's affected, who's the target here, who's being protected, and what can I do to help? And with that, I end this video. Thank you for listening to me rant. I know I probably got off topic a lot, but it's a very big topic, and I just... Please, as a fandom, can we come together and stop fighting over this kind of stuff and start solving our problems instead of separating ourselves? So let's please come together. Let's come together with love. Let's love each other. This fandom's supposed to be about love and acceptance, and all it's been lately is hate and tearing apart. So please, just love thy neighbor. Just be nice to each other. You know what? Like, in the comments, I want to have one of those little comment things where you give a compliment to the person above you. I'll start it and start complimenting people. We're gonna have some positivity, because I'm tired of all this negativity. I'm tired of all these people with all this stupid stuff. We're gonna have a nice fun time in this fandom, and you guys need to stop acting like children and fighting. Thank you. Have a nice week. I love you guys. Goodbye.